So Assalamualaikum and hello to all my students. So for today, I am going to continue to our lesson, which is still in chapter 6, entitled Periodic Table. So for our today's lesson, we are going through to the next subtopic, which is the subtopic 6.3, entitled Compounds. So, in this topic, the thing that you are going to learn is, to communicate about the compounds in daily life, and then can demonstrate the formation of compounds between metals and non-metals, and then conclude that mass is conserved during a chemical change, and next separate compounds using a chemical methods. Next, differentiate between chemical change and physical change, and the last but not least, differentiate between mixtures and compounds. So you can refer to your textbook in page 185. So we will go through to our topic for today, one by one. So to all the students, please focus to the slide that I already attached in this recording. So our topic for today is compounds. So when we refer to the compounds, the thing that you have to know is compounds is two or more elements mixed chemically. The difference between mixtures and compound is in this word, chemically. In compounds, it will mix chemically, but in mixture, still the same definitions, two or more elements mix, but for mixture, it is mixed physically, but for compounds, the two or more elements will mix chemically. So means that for the compounds, it will form a new product which has its own characteristic, form a new product. So for example, as you can see here, the examples of compounds such as building blocks, and this is polythene, where the polythene can be obtained from the combination of carbon combined with the hydrogen will form a new product, which is polythene. Okay. Another examples of compound is tiles. So this is the what we call it. This is the persamaan. Calcium mixed with carbon and then mixed with hydrogen will form marble. Okay, and then another example of compounds such as water, where the water is the production between the reaction between the hydrogen and oxygen. So actually H2O. So the chemical formula of water is H2O. So from this formula, as you can see here, it contains two hydrogen and one oxygen. So means that the two hydrogen reacts with the one oxygen will form water, will form a water compound. Okay, another example of compound is cake, and then this is the ingredients to bake a cake. So as you can see here, all the ingredients will mix together, actually will mix chemically to form a cake. So from all these ingredients, actually the ingredients and the product, after using all the ingredients, you can see actually the cake is not same like the ingredients used. But when we refer to the mixture, actually all the mixtures still can be seen in the product, but through the compounds, actually you cannot see any longer of the original shape of the ingredients. And then okay, now we go through the examples. So for example, the reaction between the magnesium and oxygen will form a magnesium oxide. Okay, this is the example or the reaction between the metal, which is a magnesium, and the non-metal elements such as compound will form a compound. So for example, we got the magnesium react with the oxygen will form a magnesium oxide. So actually, when we want to name this kind of metal oxide, we still retain the name of the metal used, such as this is a magnesium. So for the non-metal that we use in this reaction, which is oxygen, we just need to change this word with this word. So this is oxygen, Gn. So we just need to change the Gen at the oxygen to IDE. So it will form oxide. Same goes to the next example. We got aluminium react with the oxygen will form aluminium oxide. We still retain the name of the metal used. But for the non-metal use here, which is oxygen, will change to oxide, IDE, this one. And then zinc react with the oxygen will form zinc oxide. Iron react with the oxygen will form iron oxide. And the copper will react, which is react with the oxygen will form copper oxide. Okay, another examples where the lithium, sodium, and potassium actually the lithium, sodium, and potassium is the elements from the group 1. Okay, we go back to the subtopic 6.1. So in the subtopic 6.1 we got this one. Okay, the periodic table. Actually, lithium, natrium, not natrium, actually sodium and potassium. Na is sodium and K is potassium. So actually this is a group 1, then this is group 2, group 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 until the last one should be the group 18. So in the group 1, actually all the group 1, only the H, which is hydrogen, is a non-metal and the rest are metals. So for your information, all in this group 1, all the metals here, actually including all the elements here, we call it as the in bahasa we call it as logam alkali. So alkali metals. So logam alkali in English we call it as alkali metal. All these elements are alkali metals. So we go back to the slides, to that slide. So actually the lithium, sodium, and potassium are all the alkali metals. When all these alkali metals react with water, it will form metal hydroxide and it will release hydrogen gas. So for example, lithium react with water, it will form lithium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is released. Same goes to the sodium, will react with water, will form sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. And same goes to the potassium, will react with water and it will form the potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So the question now is, how come if you refer back to this one, magnesium, when react with oxygen, it will form magnesium oxide, where we just change the word oxygen to oxide. Gen we change to IDE. But how about this one? Lithium, which is react with water, it will form lithium hydroxide. So where the hell this word come from? From water and then it form hydroxide. So where this hydroxide word come from? So actually, if we want to get the answer for this one, you have to refer to the chemical formula. I just forgot the word formula. Not formula actually. Persamaan kimia. So let's say from lithium, we know lithium is Li. The formula of the chemical formula for lithium is Li. Where react with the water, actually water, the chemical formula is H2O. So and then it will form lithium hydroxide, which is LiOH plus H2. Why H2? Because hydrogen gas always in the form of molecule. So it will form in the air as a H2. So actually Li, which is lithium, is a metal, where the water is a compound. So actually because water is a compound, chemical compound, actually we know the oxygen and the hydrogen will combine together with the chemical bond. So actually in water, the chemical bond between O and actually not O, actually between H and OH. OH is hydroxide, H is hydrogen. So actually, with this lithium, actually lithium will react with this hydroxide. So actually, this is the hydrogen ions, H plus. This is hydroxide ion, which is OH minus. So this lithium, actually this lithium is in positive charge, actually in chemistry lah. So I just want to explain to you why from the water will become hydroxide. So from lithium, they will react with the hydroxide ion. So it will form the lithium hydroxide. And this H hydrogen will react with the another hydrogen will form. No, actually will react with the other hydrogen. Actually, this H will form the hydrogen gas. So when we stabilize this equation, yes, equation. When we stabilize this equation, so we will get the answer why this will form lithium hydroxide, because the hydroxide is come from this hydroxide is come from the OH and lithium from Li, and then hydrogen gas from this one. So and then actually we have to stabilize this equation, but I don't think but I don't want to stabilize it because you are going to learn this when you are in form 4 in chemistry. So I just want to give the answer for you why from water it will form hydroxide. Okay. And then another example is iron. Iron is Fe. Fe, iron when react with sulfur, sulfur is an example of non-metal. Iron is metal, will form iron sulfide. Same like oxygen, when the metal react with the oxygen. For sulfur, you just need to change the non-metal, which is sulfur, to sulfide. So PHUR, you just change to PHIDE, fight. Let's say the magnesium, you react with the sulfur, it will form the magnesium sulfide, something like that. So the way we want to do this kind of reaction is by using Bunsen burner, and then this is a crucible, so we just put iron and sulfur inside the crucible because this reaction needs heat energy. Okay. As a conclusion, as you can see here, when the metal react with the oxygen, it will form an oxide. And the metal react with the water, A, actually, they just use A here. Water, it will form hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Actually, the hydrogen gas is released. Hydroxide is the product and the hydrogen gas is released. And when the A is react with the sulfur, it will form a sulfide. Okay, now we proceed to the methods to separate compounds. Actually, the method that we can separate the compound, the only method is the electrolysis method, where the electrolysis method is a method where the hydrogen, we can separate we can separate the elements in the compounds. So for example, we use this one. We want to separate the compounds in water. So actually we already know that H2O is water. So means that we want to separate the water elements to form a hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. So how we want to do it? So we need to do it through the electrolysis process. Where through the electrolysis, the hydrogen gas will release at the cathode and the oxygen gas will release at the anode. So this is the chemical equation for this kind of reaction. 2H plus react with 2H plus oxygen O2 minus will form H2O, which is water. Actually, H is in positive charge, so this is the positive ion lah, and then for 2 minus is a negative ion. So the positive ion react with the negative ion will form the non-charged compounds. So the compound which has no charge at all. So as you can see here, we got the oxygen and hydrogen. So oxygen can be collected here and the hydrogen can be collected here. So from this statement, it's stated that the hydrogen gas released at the cathode. So this is a cathode. This is an anode. So this is a positive terminal and this is a negative terminal. This is our supply of electricity, battery. So at the positive terminal, it will connected to the positive road, which is anode, and the negative terminal will connect to the negative rod, which is cathode. So in cathode, it is a negative terminal. So actually, this negative terminal will attract hydrogen, which has a positive charge, where the anode, which is a positive, will attract the oxygen, which has a negative charge. They will attract to the different charge. So that's why oxygen will attracted to the anode and the hydrogen will attracted to the cathode. And you can see here, oxygen here and hydrogen here. Actually, the amount of the hydrogen collected here is about 2 times compared to the amount of oxygen. It is because because of the component of the water contain of 2 atoms of hydrogen and only 1 atom of oxygen. That's why oxygen only half from the hydrogen collected here. Okay. Now we proceed to the physical change and chemical change. So what is the difference between physical and the chemical change? So for the physical change, actually it does not form a new substance. So actually during the physical process, actually it just still the same substance. So that's why it not form any new substance. For example, ice melting, water boiling. So ice melting from the ice to form a water, still the same thing. Same goes to the water boiling. From the water, it will boil to form a water vapor. Still the same substance. But for a chemical change, it will form a new substance. For example, rusting of iron, and then decaying of leaf. Rusting such as a pengaratan, proses pengaratan. So from a metal, it will form a metal oxide. Actually, it form a new substance, not the same substance before the chemical process. Okay. And then what is the difference between the mixtures and compounds? So we already learned about the mixtures in the previous class. And today we learn about the compounds. So what is the difference between the mixtures and compounds? Okay. As you can see here, iron powder and sulfur powder, they are just mixed physically. So it means that both of actually this mixture we call this iron powder plus with the sulfur powder is called mixture. You can see so the sulfur powder is the yellow one and the black one is the iron powder, still retain their own characteristic in this mixture. And then therefore magnetic attraction can be used to separate iron powder and sulfur. So because as we all know, iron powder is a metal. Actually, iron is a metal, where the sulfur is not a metal. So once we use a magnet, so it can attract the iron powder and sulfur powder. Actually, I think there's a problem with my word. Actually, when we use a magnet, so actually we can separate between the iron powder and sulfur powder, where the iron powder is a metal, so it will attract it to the magnet, but the sulfur won't be attracted to the magnet. So means that the mixture of iron and sulfur powder is already a mixture. However, if the iron powder and sulfur powder mix chemically, so means that we need to use a heat energy. So we need to use the Bunsen burner here. So we need to mix both of the iron powder and sulfur powder in the crucible, and then we try to heat both of the mixture. So the iron powder and sulfur powder will react together and will mix chemically. So means that it will form a compound which called as a iron sulfide. So the iron from the iron powder and the sulfide comes from the sulfur powder. Because the sulfur is a non-metal, so we just need to change the name from sulfur to sulfide. But we still retain the name of iron. So it will form iron sulfide. Okay. Therefore, magnetic attraction cannot be used. So for this one, if you use magnet, actually magnet, so actually this magnetic attraction cannot be used at all to separate the iron powder and sulfur powder, because the iron powder and sulfur powder already mix chemically. They already form a new substance. So there is no more iron characteristic and no more sulfur characteristic. It's actually a iron sulfide. So means that you cannot use any magnet to separate both of the iron and sulfur anymore. This is a iron sulfide, and this one is the mixture of iron powder and sulfur powder. Both are different things. Okay, so we go to the last one. So this is the characteristic and the difference characteristics between the mixture and compound. So actually, for the first characteristic, formation of new substances, for mixture, they won't form a new substance, but for compound, they will form a new substance. For chemical bond, there is no chemical bond for mixture, but chemical bond exists in compound because they will form a new substance. So actually the heat is used to break the bond between the elements, and then it will form a new bond, a new bond to form a new compound. For the separation method, we can use a physical method to separate the mixture, but for compound, the separation method the separation method which is suitable for the compound only a chemical method, which to be specific, which is a electrolysis process. And the last one, the properties of new substances compared to the original one. For the mixture, they still retain the same properties of their original substance, but for the compound, the properties of the new substance is just different compared to the original substance. Okay, so we already done with the with the compound. So we do some recap to the what we already learned for today. So in this today's lesson, we already learned about compounds. So we just know that the compound is two or more elements which just mix chemically. So this word chemically is just important. If you didn't use the word chemically, so the answer is just wrong. You have to use chemically. If you write physically, means that you refer to the mixture. So actually for the compound, it will form a new product, and the compound has their own characteristics. So for example, the example of compounds such as building blocks and then polythene, and then we got tiles where the chemical equation for the marble. So calcium react with the carbon and hydrogen will form a marble. So tiles in bahasa inilah jubin lantai. And then same goes to the water. Water is also an example of the compounds. So the hydrogen, two atoms of hydrogen formed with one atom of oxygen will form water, which is a compound. Okay, same goes to the cake. With all these ingredients, they will mix chemically to form a cake which has its own characteristic. Okay, and then another example, we got all the metals react with the oxygen will form a metal oxide like this one. And then another example, like this one, this we call as lithium, sodium, and potassium are the alkali metal. Yeah, alkali metals which react with the water will form the metal hydroxide, and they also will release the hydrogen gas. And same goes to the metal. When react to the sulfur, they will form the metal sulfide. Okay, and then we also learn about the method to separate compounds. Where to separate compounds, we can use the electrolysis method. This is how we set up the electrolysis method. So you have to remember, in the electrolysis method, we got the anode which connect to the positive terminal, where the cathode connects to the negative terminal. Okay, we also learn about the difference between physical change and chemical change, also the differences between mixtures and compounds. So actually, for mixture, they just mix physically. This is the keyword here. And then for the mixture, we can separate them by using the physical method like this one, magnetic attraction. But if the iron powder and sulfur powder mix chemically by using this heat, by heat energy, they will mix chemically and form a compound. For this case, they will form the iron sulfide. Where when the iron sulfide is formed, we cannot use a magnetic attraction anymore to separate the iron powder and sulfur powder, because they already form a new compound. So we also learn about the difference characteristic between the mixture and compound. So we just done with our subtopic for today. So if you have any question to us, so if you have any problem, any question to us, just please don't hesitate to ask me, maybe through my personal Telegram, or depends on what kind of communication that you want to ask me. So that's all for today. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.